When we talk about division of integers, it's really not any different than multiplication of integers. We could use some of the same models. They're going to show that when you divide two negative numbers, you end up with a positive number, just like multiplication. And really and truly, the big hurdle is with multiplication, because once you submit those rules down for students, then they can carry over to division. So to kind of illustrate that, I've got this problem here, -3 times -2. I want you to write it as a division problem. So it's multiplication, and the inverse of multiplication is division. So that's the reason I can do that. The answer to this multiplication problem is 6. That is the product. So I'm going to take the answer and I'm going to write it as a division problem. So it can be divided by either one of these factors. So I'll just choose -3 to start with. And so the answer to my division problem then is -2. The other possible answer, again, the product divided by -2 is equal to -3. So those are my two possible answers. A couple of things you cannot have. 6 has to be positive, so you cannot have a -6. And the reason because here are my two negative signs. These two negative signs make 6 positive. I can't have 3 negative signs. Some of those same rules we established with the patterns model back from multiplication. 2 negatives make a positive here. Another thing that I can't have is I can't have -3 or -2 first. It has to start with 6. It has to start with the answer to the multiplication problem is how my division problem is going to start. So it has to have that 6 there on here. All right, last thing in this section, so we have to talk about exponents and order of operations, and they kind of really go hand in hand. Order of operations is one of the biggest things I see that students have memorized back from elementary school, but they really don't know what it means. Before I get into that, I want to do a little bit of notation with the exponents. There's a big difference between parentheses and not parentheses. And a lot of times students get really frustrated with that. But the reason it's important is because of order of operations. If you look down here, parentheses are the first thing. That means parentheses are more important than exponents. So what these parentheses do up here is they keep that 2 safe. Since the 2's inside the parentheses, that means it's going to be part of what I multiply. So we can visually see this a little bit. That 4 in the exponent means that I have 4 of these -2's. So it would look like having 4 of these things written out. So 3 and then 4. So that is 4 negative signs or 2 groups of 2. So this answer here is going to give me a +4. And this answer here is going to give me a +4. And if I multiply those together, I'm going to get out 16 as my answer. To kind of foil that or show you the opposite of it, if I look down here at B, the negative is not part of the exponent. Because if I go down to my order of operations, there are no parentheses in B. There is an exponent, and that negative really is multiplication. That's -1 times 2. So the negative doesn't come into play until after I do the exponent. So I do the exponent first. 2 to the 4th power is 16. And then multiply it by the negative. So in B, the answer is -16, and in A, it's 16. So the parentheses really matter. Now, C and D both have parentheses, but they go back and kind of remind us of our exponent rules with 1. 1 raised to any power is always 1. Notice up here with 2 to the 4th, or the -2 to the 4th, I just repeat the -2 4 times. So with 1, I just repeat 1 99 times. So I would still get out 1. Well, the problem is I have a negative here. So we go back to our negative rules. If we had an even amount of negative numbers, like I had here, I had 4, that's an even number, my answer is going to be positive. If I have an odd amount, then my answer would be negative. That's because when I went to pair these, 2 negatives make a positive, 2 negatives make a positive. If I had an odd number, I would have somebody without a pair. So the answer to C is going to be -1, and the answer to D is going to be 1.